The Puroiks who still work for the Naishis in the region are forced to live in or near the homes of their Malik. Kapik's daughter was married to a boy working in a Naishi household in another village, Jayang Bagong. The boy was bought by the Bangni, Naishi. They gave us 3 mithan, oxen, at the time of marriage and she lives and works in that house now, he said. Kayabing Bagong, the village headman of Jayang Bagong, said some Puroiks do have their own houses, but built close to that of the Maliks. They are dependent on their Malik for food and clothes and typically do not receive salaries. Their movement is restricted and they aren't allowed to visit their families or return to their villages, another villager from Mara Tasser, Lago Kapek, said. A second district official, who did not wish to be identified, told the print that he hasn't received a single complaint so far in this regard. In the rare case that a complaint is lodged, a committee comprising the officer in charge of the local police station, a doctor, the child development project officer, and social workers, is constituted to look into the matter. They, members of the committee, check whether there's been exploitation and then call in the 2 concerned parties, following which there's a hearing before the Additional Deputy Commissioner, ADG. The official said, adding that the person is freed if she is found to be engaged in bonded labor. They are either sent back to their families or are trained in skills that will help them earn a livelihood. There are a few Bangnis who buy our ladka, boys, and ladki, girls, for mithan. The Maliks do this even now. If they refuse to work for the Bangni, Naishi, they are beaten, Lago Kapek said. Who will complain? Everyone is scared. They say they will attack us with daos, traditional swords. They say they will hack us to death if we say anything, he added. Living in close proximity to the Naishis across generations, some among the Puroiks in Chayantaho have accepted this serfdom-like system. This has further emboldened some Naishis to see themselves as the guardians of the lesser tribe. Indeed, the belief that Puroiks are dependent on their largesse has embedded itself in the Naishi culture. The Sulings are on their own now, but we have taken care of them for hundreds of years, given them clothes, food, everything. Today also if they fall sick we help them. We should be given some compensation. Kamko Tongi, a village headman from Sawa Circle, said. Given the complexity of this problem, crackdowns and rescue operations can only accomplish so much. This is a deeply sociological problem. In some cases, those released went back to their so-called master. This will take more than just a simple legal approach, Pravamal Abhishek, Deputy Commissioner of East Kameng District, said. To bring about systemic change, there also needs to be a push for awareness, education, economic stability, political representation, and better job prospects for the Puroiks. Nearly 3 years since she last saw her sister, Poppy Soja said it is common for girls to be bought during marriages. Poppy, too, has been a victim of this archaic practice. My husband's Malik bought me, and gave my Malik money instead of the usual mithan, wild oxen or gale, she said. Sitting across from Poppy, another villager, Yaro Soja, narrated a similar ordeal. About 8 years ago, her daughter, Meho Soja, 12 years old at the time, was taken away by a Naishi man, who was a Malik from an adjacent area. We aren't even allowed to see my daughter. We were told that they won't give her back. We are only thinking of getting her released, Yaro said. History indicates that this form of bonded labor has its roots in economic dependence and debt. Robin Hisong, principal of the government college in East Kameng Sepa, told the print. According to oral narratives, the Puroiks and the Naishis had a certain economic relationship. The Naishis were well-to-do. The Puroiks had taken loans from them, but couldn't pay back the debt, Hisong said. A 1994 report by the Ministerial Committee on Resettlement of Puroik Families describes the genesis of the skewed equation between the Naishis and the Puroiks. According to the Puroiks, the Nishings, Naishis, somehow entered their area and made friendship with them and brought them into close contact by persuasion and by offering salt, beads, clothing, daos, swords, local beer etc., the report says. Gradually they made the Puroiks work in their agriculture fields and thus, by and by, The Nishings exploited the Puroiks, who have had a number of obligations to the Nishing and in fact till recent years were virtual serfs, it adds. In 1996, following a Supreme Court order, the center directed all states to undertake a survey of bonded laborers and ensure the implementation of the Bonded Labor System Abolition Act of 1976. The survey conducted in East Kaming at the time had found that at least 80% of the over 3,000 Puroiks in the district were under the servitude of either the Naishi or Miji tribes. It was only in March 1999 that the East Kaming District Administration banned the feudal practice. Subsequently, in a note from 1999, titled, Information on Bonded Labor, the district administration recorded that following the ban, 2,992 of the 3,452 bonded laborers in the district had been released. However, authorities are still struggling to stamp out this exploitative practice. On paper, no one is bonded now. But there are a few pockets in the Sawa area and one or two places in Chayantaho where it still happens, a district official said, on condition of anonymity. In East Kaming, the situation has become better for 50% of the Puroiks. But, in Karung Kumi district, the situation is even worse and none of the Puroiks have been released. Takaya Soja, a member of the Arunachal Pradesh government-constituted Autonomous Puroik Welfare Board, said. As far back as 1975, the Arunachal Pradesh government had implemented a village regrouping scheme to help the Puroiks get back on their feet. Prior to the scheme, Puroiks did not own land and lived in small and scattered settlements. Like Sangchu, Tagampu village in Chayantaho was one of the resettlements built for the Puroiks in the 1970s and 1980s under the state government scheme. When we came here during the resettlement, we got some freedom. In the past, we would have to collect rangbang, wild sago palm, from which a staple flour is made, bamboo, and other things for the bangnas, naishas. We would also have to give them whatever we had hunted from the jungle, Siang Saji, a member of the Gram Panchayat, said. Siang and most of Tagampu's residents have broken free from this feudal system, but others in the district are still trapped. Located 26 kilometers from the circle headquarters, Maratasar is among the 9 villages in Chayantaho built for Puroiks. The only way to reach Maratasar is an arduous 90-minute trip through mountainous terrain that ends in a clearing surrounded by hills. In this clearing stand just 5 wooden huts with tin roofs. I helped make this settlement in 1981. The government gave this land to us along with 2,500 rupees to each of the 22 households. Now, most people have left, for job opportunities or education, and only 5 houses are left, Thukik Kapek, 65, told the print. Told for generations, the Naishi and Miji tribes have owned members of the Puroik community. While this practice was outlawed in 1999, it prevails in pockets of Arunachal Pradesh. When Agong Soja was just 11 years old, a man took her away from her home in Sangchu village, which is a settlement of the Puroik tribe in Arunachal Pradesh's East Kaming district. Her family did not dare question the man, Yulo Taho of the Naishi tribe, too much. He was, after all, the Malik owner of Agang's father. Sitting in a dimly lit hut in Sangchu village, Agang's sister Papi Soja, 22, said the family hasn't seen the 11-year-old since that day in October 2019. Recalling the incident, Papi told the print, he, Yulo Taho, came one day and took her away saying that he will make her study. We are very worried. Asked why her family hadn't registered a complaint, Papi said, he, Yulo Taho, is like my father's Naishi brother. We are thinking of complaining, but if Baya, big brother, is making her study, then that's fine. Behind the idyllic charm of Arunachal Pradesh, which attracts tourists in droves, thrives a tribal feudal system that's akin to slavery. The victims of this system are the Puroiks, who were once called sulings, a derogative term signifying vassal status. While Puroiks are spread across 6 districts in Arunachal Pradesh, a majority of them reside in East Kaming. For hundreds of years, Puroiks have served as slaves to the Miji and Naishi tribes in the district, working on their fields, tending to their cattle, and taking care of household chores. In March 1999, the East Kameng District Administration issued an order banning the feudal practice after over 3,000 Puroiks were found to be working as bonded laborers. However, 23 years since the order was passed, members of this tribal community continue to be bought, especially by the Naishas, also known as Nishings or Bangnis, in pockets of Arunachal Pradesh. Even the Naishas acknowledge the existence of this practice. If the Suling people sell their children, then we, Naishas, will have to buy them. These people then work in our farms and as laborers at construction sites. They work for their own food, etc. There must be a few Sulings here. Kayabing Bagong, the Gaunbara, village headman, of the Naishi village of Jayang Bagong, about a 60-minute drive from Agong Soja's village, said. He is among those who still refer to the Puroiks as Sulings. While the onset of cultural change in this part of Arunachal Pradesh has been slow, there has been some progress. For example, the establishment of Arunodaya, a Puroik-only colony in Sepa by the district administration, has led to an increase in the growing number of educated villagers within the community. We have benefited from the setting up of a colony in Sepa. The Puroiks have been able to come here, live here, study. Some have even gotten jobs. Kumar Janju, 35, who hails from East Kameng's Lata Circle, told the print. Nevertheless, employment prospects are still limited for the Puroiks. Many people from the community are now educated, but there are not enough who have steady jobs. If Puroiks don't get jobs now, how will they eat? This has pushed us back into darkness. Puni Puroik, 56, the first woman from the tribe to hold a government job, as a supervisor with the Integrated Child Development Services, said. Another impediment to change is that despite having a distinctive language and culture, according to researchers, the Puroiks are classified as a sub-tribe of the Naishas. We don't have any reservation or quota. The Naishas take all the reservations. Tarang Soja, the Gram Panchayat chairperson of Sangchu, said. There are 46 Puroik villages and several Gram Panchayats, but not a single Zilla Parishad member from the community. We always have to fight for work or political representation, he added. So far, there have only been 2 members of the Legislative Assembly from the Puroik tribe, and both were nominated by the then government of Arunachal Pradesh, Daming Saria in 1980 and Siji Juli in 1985. In 1989, 2 years after Arunachal Pradesh became a full-fledged state, the system of nominating MLAs was scrapped, and since then there has been no MLA from the community. In 2020, the All Puroik Welfare Society wrote to the Chief Electoral Officer demanding that 1 MLA seat be allocated to someone from the Puroik community. The print tried to reach State Election Commissioner Hage Kojin through phone to find out where this demand stands, but did not get a response until the time of filing this report. This article will be updated if a response is received. Meanwhile, some Puroiks are working to plant the seeds of change in the community and are speaking out against the feudal system. Some, like Siang Saji of Tagampu, are asserting themselves by challenging the power equation through how they use language and practice local customs. We don't say Malik, owner, anymore, even if they give us Mithan during our wedding. I will also help them during their weddings by giving them Mithan, Saji said.